Have you ever wondered what it takes to turn a single, crumpled $100 bill into a sprawling, multi-million-dollar empire? Not through a lucky lottery ticket, not through shady internet scams, and definitely not by inheriting a trust fund, but through cold, ruthless, mathematical warfare. Picture the Chicago trading floors in the gritty winter of 1970. It wasn't a quiet, sanitized room full of glowing computer screens and polite phone calls. It was a terrifying physical war zone. A visceral meat grinder filled with desperate men in cheap suits screaming at the top of their lungs. They were risking their kids' college funds, their mortgages, and their entire lives on desperate rumors, whispered tips, and pure, unadulterated panic. The air was thick with the smell of stale coffee, sweat, and fear. Into this absolute bloodbath walks a 21-year-old kid named Richard Dennis. He had no wealthy family backing him. He had no elite Wall Street connections. He had a borrowed spot on the exchange floor and exactly $400 in working capital. That's it. Just $400 between him and total ruin. One bad move, one single second of hesitation, and he would be wiped out, chewed up by the merciless floor, and sent back to whatever dead-end life he crawled out of. But Richard had a secret weapon that the screaming, sweating men in the pit didn't. While they traded with raw, unfiltered emotion, he traded like a machine, ice in his veins, a predator of the trend. Most traders want to look like absolute geniuses. They want to predict exactly when the market will crash, or catch the exact bottom, just so they can brag about it at the bar. Richard knew that ego, that desperate human need to be right, is exactly what bankrupts 90% of people who enter the market. So, he completely shut out the noise. He ignored the panicked newspaper headlines. He ignored the so-called financial experts screaming on television. To him, the market was just a brutal, high-contrast fight between buyers and sellers, and he only cared about one simple, undeniable truth, the price flashing on the screen. He didn't try to outsmart the market. He stalked it. If a price broke to a new, established high, he bought it. He didn't ask why the price was moving. He didn't care about the fundamentals. He just hopped on the runaway freight train and rode the violent momentum for all it was worth. But here is the dark secret that fake financial gurus will absolutely never tell you. Here is where the real, agonizing psychological torture happens. Richard Dennis was actually wrong on most of his trades. Think about that for a second. Imagine placing 10 bets and losing on 6 or 7 of them, day after agonizing day. Watching your hard-earned money slowly vanish in front of your eyes. Most normal people would completely break under that pressure. They would panic. They would double down and bet their entire account in a desperate, sweaty attempt to win it all back in one single heroic shot. That is how accounts blow up. Richard survived the psychological agony because of one unbreakable, sacred law, the 1% rule. He never, ever risked more than 1% of his total money on a single trade. A flawless survival mechanic. He could be wrong 20 times in a row, slowly bleeding cash, and still have the capital and the unbreakable nerve to pull the trigger on trade number 21. When he lost, he amputated the trade instantly. No hope. No prayers to the market gods. He severed the losing position before it could infect his account. But when he finally caught a massive winning trend, he held on tight, ignored his own screaming fear of losing the unrealized profit, and let the numbers multiply relentlessly into the stratosphere. By having the icy discipline to take tiny paper-cut losses and ride massive exponential winners, his $400 mutated into $500,000 in just 4 years. A decade later, that tiny, insignificant grub stake exploded into an estimated $200 million. By 1983, the financial world thought Richard Dennis was an absolute wizard. His own business partner, William Eckhart, argued that Richard was just a freak of nature, a guy born with a magical sixth sense for the tape that could never, ever be duplicated by anyone else. Richard scoffed at the idea. He believed trading was just a set of mathematical rules. A system so beautifully simple, so incredibly mechanical, that he could teach it to absolutely anyone. To settle the million-dollar bet, Richard took out a massive, full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal and recruited 23 completely ordinary people out of total obscurity. He didn't hire Ivy League bankers with finance degrees. He hired an actor, a security guard, a boy fresh out of high school, a female accountant. People who knew absolutely nothing about the cutthroat world of finance. He locked them in a room for 2 weeks. He taught them his strict,
The street is
cold-blooded
calling him
rules.
the Prince of the Pit. What can you tell us?
And then
He thrives on chaos.
he did the unthinkable.
He sees the
He
collapses
handed them
before they
millions
happen.
of
I
dollars
see.
of his own personal fortune. He looked them in the eye and basically asked, "Here is the weapon. I have taught you exactly how to use it. But do you have the guts to push the button when you're terrified? Can you watch yourself bleed, take a brutal string of losses, and execute the system without losing your mind?" They called this legendary group the Turtles. And they didn't just survive the ruthless, chaotic pits of Chicago. They absolutely devastated the global markets, crushing seasoned Wall Street veterans and billionaire hedge funds alike. Over the next 5 years, those completely everyday people generated an aggregate, jaw-dropping profit of over
The data clearly indicates a significant
$175
increase in
million.
volume. If we look at the red line,
They became
the projections for the next
multimillionaires.
quarter are aggressive but
The
achievable.
absolute proof is fully documented in official heirs tax records, audited broker statements, and the annals of Wall Street history. The story of Richard Dennis and his turtle traders is a brutal cinematic mirror held up to human psychology. It proves, once and for all, that building generational, life-changing wealth isn't about hiding behind insider secrets. It isn't about getting incredibly lucky on a random gamble. It's about having the cold, hard discipline to stick to a proven system, to ruthlessly manage your risk when the pressure is on, and to conquer your own deepest fears when everyone else around you is losing their minds.